Yo, what's happening, y'all? It's your main dude Jay here, aka FTG Reacts UK. And yes, this is gonna be like a proper, serious video relating to bullying, or basically cyberbullying, or whatever you want to call it, basically. And there was a video that was up on YouTube a few days ago by the man of PyroLive. If you want to watch a video yourself to get your eyes watching the video even more, honestly, this video it's gotta be pretty fucking sentimental and deep, because I understand the pain, the struggle of being a victim of bullying, as I've gone through it myself 24/7. Well, not 24/7, but it was more like 5 days a week, I should say, But yeah, enough about me. Let's just get on with it. And yes, I will personally say this is a deep video for myself, because I went through it, like I said. But yeah, please subscribe, and also subscribe to PyroLive if you haven't. I will do as well, because he expresses this video very well with a lot of respect, and that is a YouTuber that I will highly praise. So yeah.
This isn't a video I wanted to make, and I know that's what every single YouTuber on the platform says. I've even criticized people of making that claim before they make a video, but this is a really sad situation regarding a YouTuber, and originally I wasn't really going to talk about it, but there's been some updates recently, and this is huge. Now, I don't think this is a brave statement to make, but the internet over the past couple of years just seems to be getting worse and worse. I mean, granted, it's been never good. You've had Xbox Live chat in the early 2010s. And the massive...
I do remember those days, yes. I remember those days because I have 360. I do remember those days when Toxic was fucking common on the old Call of Duty games. They existed. I don't know if they exist still to this day. I don't know, because I barely touch Call of Duty now, since it's becoming more of a trash franchise.
Of hate and slurs you get thrown your way just for basically existing. But I feel recently the amount of hatred and vitriol through online discourse and conversations, it's now just become completely unprecedented. And the scariest thing is as well, it's become completely normalized. I mean, I'm not making any kind of Hippocrates or Socrates statements here. There's no deep philosophy. It's pretty obvious that when you talk about someone or talk to someone on the internet, there's a filter there. So chances are you're probably going to be a little bit more extreme than if you were talking to them in person. So there was a well-known YouTuber who also ran a fox sanctuary, and unfortunately, she decided to take her own life. That was after getting a bunch of hate and criticism from people online, and at the minute she's left behind her foundation as well as her widowed husband and a young daughter. And it seems, after looking into this, it basically all revolves around harassment she was receiving online. Now, there have been benefits to anonymity, and there are definitely some downsides, like I'm talking about today. This is one of the worst cases of harassment I've ever seen someone go through. Now, in the past 24 hours, a lot has happened, especially that the people who basically attacked her and harassed her constantly, they've actually been kind of named and shamed publicly. I will go into that later. I don't want to just make the entire video about these horrible people who basically made this woman make the final decision. I think it'd be more important in this video to kind of cherish her life, her achievements, and the kind of things that she did. So back in March 2013, there was a woman called Michaela Rains, and she posted her first video onto the YouTube channel Save a Fox. It's a harmless video. She's basically talking about how to look after and care for a snapping turtle if you're keeping one as a pet. It's pretty much just information informational stuff. And over the years, Michaela's channel actually kept posting informative content surrounding care for different kinds.
How is this content isn't enough to be bullied? How is this? I explained this terribly just then. How is this amount of content that's so positive, that's so influenced positively, and yet she get bullied for? Are people that fucking bored of their own lives that they don't know how to entertain themselves? Like, seriously, these bullies don't even have a life of their own, and yet they literally cause a life to end. Jesus, man. God, may God strike upon those selfish cunts. Honestly, Jesus, man, this is so appalling. Why do people treat other people so horribly online? It's so disgusting.
Animals. Her passion and intelligence for these kinds of topics basically snowballed her channel into getting 2.4 million subscribers, basically spreading awareness on animal welfare, and also helped found the Saber Fox Foundation. World Animal News actually gives quite a lot of detail about her life in a recently published article, showing that this wasn't really for money or for like fame, YouTube success. It was basically just a genuine drive to try to help others. At age 15, Michaela rescued and raised her first fox, marking the beginning of her journey. By 18, she'd earned her license as a wildlife rehabilitator and pursued studies to become a veterinary technician. However, she ultimately found her true calling in rescuing captive-born domestic foxes. And that's exactly what she did. So by around...
This is it. This is the description of someone who everyone should actually try to look up to. And yet you have these selfish, jealous, self-righteous assholes that made her kill herself. Literally. Just honestly, if you're bored at some point, don't try. If you're trying to find a way to entertain yourself, don't bully people. Just go outside, play football, throw rocks in water streams or some shit like that. Like, just do anything that's normal. Just not bully someone, because it's just wrong.
Around 2017, she actually had her own foundation where she would rescue foxes that were usually in poor or abusive conditions and basically raise them and give them a better standard of living. So her journey actually started when she rescued 3 foxes from a fur farm. Now, fur farms, if you haven't heard of them, they are just completely dystopian, whether you believe in, vegan lifestyle or, eating meat and you don't care. Like, regardless, these farms are just, they're vile. They basically breed these foxes with the intent of, killing them and skinning them, usually giving them hormones and stuff to make them fatter.
Why does that exist? This is pure animal cruelty. Exposed. I hope that got shut down. I really hope, because animals deserve better than cruelty by people for their own gains.
Okay, not the right word to use, but they literally become larger, so their pelts are bigger for when they're killed. And they're just kept in these cages all day, basically getting no freedom, because what's the point? It's not like the fur quality is going to be any worse. It's usually mink, foxes, chinchillas, but some countries as well also allow cats and dogs to be farmed. So she was attending college to be a veterinarian technician, but she dropped out and basically started to try to rescue more animals. Yet, despite this seeming really altruistic and...
Oh, this is appropriate, innit? Fucking YouTube. Do things at the wrong time. Especially at the cost of billion.
thing for everyone. There were still people in college to be a veterinarian technician, but she dropped issue with her. The biggest offender and the most amount of hate she got was actually from the Saber Fox Snark subreddit, which...
I'm gonna rewind.
Yeah, okay, not the right word to use, but they literally become larger, so their pelts are bigger for when they're killed. And they're just kept in these, like, cages all day, basically getting no freedom, because what's the point? It's not like the fur quality is going to be any worse. It's usually mink, foxes, chinchillas, but some countries as well also allow cats and dogs to be farmed. So she was attending college to be a veterinarian technician, but she dropped out and basically started to try to rescue more animals. Yet, despite this seeming really altruistic and just a great thing for everyone, there were still people that took issue with her. The biggest offender and the most amount of hate she got was actually from the Saber Fox Snark subreddit, which, unsurprisingly, has now been shut down by moderators. Now, I get it.
And rightfully so. It's harassment at the end of the day, which counts alongside of bullying.
I'm an old man, I'm pushing 30, but honestly, I did not know what Snark subreddits were.
He's 30? He doesn't look 30. Is he for real? Jesus, he's apparently nearly roughly the same age as Simon and KSI. Wow. Wow.
Recently, it's more on that kind of H3 side of the internet where they seem to be more popular. I mean, the only thing I can really seem to gather from Snark subreddits is they're usually rent-free about a particular creator or a person, and they're usually ran by about 90% women. I mean, me personally, I wouldn't need my own Snark subreddit because my own subreddit hates me enough. But some people have actually been archiving on Wayback Machine all the things that were being said on the subreddit. Now, a lot of these posts that were made on the subreddit just seem to be absolutely like nothing burger criticisms, like posting that an animal hasn't shown up for a video in a while, or posting when an animal has died under their watch. I mean, what she was doing was for a really noble cause, but unfortunately, animals would still die under their care. You know, if you have like a fox, for example, that's just been raised in captivity legally, it can't actually be released in the wild. It would have no idea how to fend for itself. So what Saber Fox would do would actually take care of the fox until it would die. And keep in mind as well, animals like foxes have really short lifespans, only around like 3 to 4 years. And considering
Jesus. 3 to 4 years? Wow, it makes me question if school was even necessary. Really? Like, really? This is stuff you don't learn in school. Wow.
the fox has been running since like 2017, there would be a lot of animals that died. Now, I do also want to mention here as well that the Wayback Machine, it's not really showing images or comments, so some of the context here is missing. I'm kind of just going off titles alone, but even then, it just seems to be very, like, pointless criticisms to make. And I do think that there's a huge irony as well that Michaela was basically spending her life for the betterment of animals, and people would endlessly criticize her online, probably not even doing a tenth of the goodwill work that she did. And I get it, you know, running an animal shelter, it can be really unpredictable. There can be some huge drawbacks there, some consequences. But, you know, at the end of the day, at least she was actually doing something. I even saw one person saying that even though she was rescuing these foxes from fur farms, she was
YouTube, this is inappropriate. You can't be promoting other stuff in terms of death and bullying. Like,
you're a dragon, right? Actually directly supporting fur farms by buying fox cubs that have been rejected by their mothers, arguing that the money used was just going to keep funding fur farms. But again, it's one of those scenarios where it's like, if she didn't make that choice, the fox cubs probably just would have been killed anyway. I've always just found it weird how people get absolutely mind broken over that stuff. It's like, these are industries that want to increase profits more than anything else. There was like an adult animated show, I'm not sure whether it was like South Park or Family Guy or something, but there was this one scene where they were showing like chick culling, like chicks being separated, the unwanted ones just being like ground down because it was the most efficient way to do so. And I swear, like, seeing that as a kid, it absolutely mind-broken me. So now we've laid a little bit of backstory, but on the 23rd of June, the Saber Fox YouTube channel posted a video titled An Unimaginable Loss for the Rescue, where... So now we've laid a little bit of backstory, but on the 23rd of June, the Saber Fox YouTube channel posted a video titled An Unimaginable Loss for the Rescue, where Ethan notes that Michaela was on the autism spectrum, and that allowed her to really hyper-focus on her work saving animals.
As many of you know, she was on the autism spectrum, and while that made her life very difficult,
life's expensive, saving up's tough. Can I do it automatically?
YouTube.
it allowed her to hyper-focus on that one thing was obviously animals.
According to Ethan, she would spend every waking hour of her life trying to help and rescue animals, to the point that she'd actually end up neglecting her own bodily needs like eating and sleeping, since she had so much love and fixation on basically caring for these animals and wanted to spend her life aiding them, basically creating these incredibly strong bonds with any creature she took in, not just the foxes.
She put the animals' well-being over her own time and time again. She would forgo sleep, eating, and showering if there was an animal that needed her help.
That's some serious dedication. I actually wish she actually lived through. Survived even, because legitimately, she deserves the best out of the life she got for herself. Despite the hindrances of bullies and that. Like, literally.
And it was not just foxes. I've seen her help birds, reptiles, sheep, squirrels. I truly believe when it came to animals, she could do anything.
Now, thankfully, even though she isn't here anymore, it seems that the channel will still be run and the foundation will still go ahead. Ethan will basically do everything in his power to keep the Save a Fox initiative going. He does state in the video this is what Michaela really would have wanted for the initiative and the foundation to keep going.
She was not just a rescuer, but an advocate. Her legacy is Save a Fox. And despite her being the most important part of that, I am not going to let it stop here. I will do whatever I can to see Save a Fox keep moving forward to save as many lives as possible. I gave Michaela all of my love and energy, and I will do the same with this rescue going forward. We can continue to help the many helpless animals that need us, and educate and bring awareness to everyone. This is what Michaela would want, and I have to see her goals and dreams be realized.
Ethan then goes on to talk about Michaela separately from Save a Fox. Michaela as a mother and also as a wife, and saying that that love and passion really didn't stop at just the rescue project.
Aside from being the amazing superhero of animals, Michaela was also a wonderful wife and a caring mother. Every day I would wake up to a list from her on exactly what we needed to accomplish in the day. Her work ethic was, for lack of better words, relentless.
He says that they spend basically every waking moment together, and genuinely I cannot even imagine the unbearable pain that he's going through right now. Ethan basically describes it in the video as half of him is missing.
I have never shared a bond with anyone the way I have with her. We spent nearly every moment of every day together. And now half of me is missing.
You see what you selfish cunts have caused with your hurtful words of apparently your own wisdom, whatever the fuck that even means. But literally, you literally not only caused a death to happen, but an important death. Because not only did you kill a woman with your false accusational words, but you also killed a mother and a wife. You've literally made the husband and the daughter scarred because of your selfish deeds. You lot should be ashamed of yourself for killing a harmless and purified soul. Not purified soul. A pure soul, basically.
But honestly, massive respect to him. The fact that he was able to, get the camera out, record this video, not being a complete, crying mess, which would make total sense considering everything that's happened, but he's still able to deliver this message and talk about Michaela in such a positive way. It really shows, great character of him, and I think Michaela had an amazing partner as well. He also speaks about how much of a good mother Michaela was to their daughter Freya, actually, carrying on her values by teaching their daughter Freya to treat animals with respect and how to care for them.
But despite all of this, she was a best friend to Freya. And every day she would teach her how to interact with respect and care for the animals here. They would go on pony rides together, swing in the fox yards, and take care of Freya's little cockroaches. The first thing Freya would want every morning is mommy.
Following this, Michaela's mental health is then discussed, where Ethan basically explains the struggles that he faced due to her autism. There was also depression, BPD, borderline personality disorder, and other issues. Therapy, medication, nothing really seemed to work for her.
For her entire life, she struggled. She struggled with autism, with depression, with borderline personality disorder, and more. She was always in and out of different kinds of therapy, trying various mood stabilizers and meds, but nothing really seemed to help.
And that's one of the biggest hurdles with anything related to the mind, mental health. Usually there isn't a cure-all method. Sometimes meds can work, sometimes therapy can work, but a lot of the times they might not actually work. But again, though, the fact that she had all these mental health issues and was still able to persevere, that's really commendable. And then Ethan gets around to the topic of the hate Michaela was receiving online. He discusses that it actually wasn't just the hate brigade or even the snark subreddits, but people in real life and even at other animal foundations.
For a few years, a group of people had been throwing dirt on Michaela's name and the rescue. Most of these are people she knew, and some of them are other animal sanctuaries.
What? Wait, there are other animal foundations that actually targeted her? I'm not gonna lie, but they should get shut down. Because they caused a human life to be cut out of life. Basically death. They caused a death to happen. So surely, in justice itself, their foundations should be shut down. Their foundations should get shut down. Only the ones that targeted Michaela. Damn.
They consistently spread ridiculous claims and rumors, and being the sensitive human that she was, Michaela took it all to heart. And it hurt her. It hurt her a lot. But she pushed through.
Now, I find it insane that he said this, that other foundations would actually try to drag you down as well. I mean, surely if you have an issue with the way that one person is...
I think why the other foundations targeted her was because of the amount of success her foundation was receiving, which pinpointed a bit of jealousy onto the other foundations, meaning that their jealous rage impacted onto her by spreading false rumors and accusations.
Like a sanctuary or something, you'd get in contact with them about it. Ethan would claim that these other sanctuaries would basically spread just completely baseless, untrue rumors about her to try and discredit her. But then to make things worse, a lot of this similar criticism would actually come from close friends. And Ethan believes that this is one of the major reasons why she took her own life. The worst thing about this entire situation is how easily a lot of it could have just been avoided. There is basically zero benefit for spreading hate online. I get it, right? We've all got the boys group chat where, you just talk a bunch of shit about people all the time. We all do it.
Yeah, that's somewhat true, but there's also a fair line between banter and bullying. Bullying, when it comes to bullying people, you do it out of attention and for fun. And for jealousy, and out of jealousy, I mean. But, yeah. And with banter, the intent of banter is not to intentionally hurt people, but create like laughter in a sense. That's like the whole different area between banter and bullying.
Human. If those messages got leaked, would you look like a very petty, cowardly person? Yeah, probably. But I feel here a lot of the hatred she was getting was actually stemming from jealousy, and it was just that kind of self-hate.
I called it jealousy. I called it. Wow.
And then that need to kind of project it onto someone else. Ethan even says something similar within the video, basically saying that, you know, you can talk shit about someone, it's fine, but you really don't know what kind of damage you're doing to someone behind closed doors.
She couldn't bear what she was feeling any longer. And she ended her life. And it breaks my heart that someone who is selfless and devoted her life to animals could have so much negativity pointed at her.
What I don't get is why would people would send negative shit towards someone who's actually a good person? Normally you would literally say that for bad people, like nonces and rapists and murderers. Usually that makes sense to send negative words towards, not towards good people that care about the environment of like, or safety towards like animals and people, you know? Like, it makes no sense.
Why? That's all I can ask is why. In a world that's filled with darkness.
Let's cut to it. My client is done being beat here. No evolution.
She was just light. She was just light. And to those of you that pushed her to this, every one of you that had been responsible for making her feel this way, I wish you had to see me find her. And I wish you had to watch me perform CPR on her for 15 minutes until the first responders arrived. And I wish you had to watch helplessly as paramedics attempted to revive her lifeless body. And I wish you had to hear the screams and the cries of her family.
This is just a heartbreaking video. I feel for him and his daughter. Like, honestly, it's so sad how people can selfishly attempt to ruin someone's life based out of information that is based out of false misinformation, basically. God, man. It's actually painful, and I feel for him.
I wish you had to see tiny, heartbroken Freya try to understand why she can never see her mommy again. I wish you understood what you were doing before you did it. Before it had to go this far. And I wish you understood that words do have real and terrible consequences. If you only have negative garbage to say, just shut up. And if you are feeling lost and hopeless, please reach out to someone, whether it's friends and family or calling a hotline.
Speaking of hotline, there's actually a link, well, not link, but sort of a link where it's called like Samaritans or something like that. It's completely free and you can choose to call right now if you wanted to. If you feel like down or like depressed and shit like that, like honestly, the whole 3 letters, "you're not alone," it stands out and it's true. You're not alone. And even though in the darkest days that you feel at your lowest, you're still not on your own. There's still people that actually care about you. Like, all you have to do is, like, confidently reach out to those around you that actually care about you. In a sense, you know, like...
And to everyone else, please keep an eye on those around you. Look for the signs because they are there. Do something or say something before it's too late.
It is one of those situations that's really heartbreaking because, again, I get it, there is so much hatred on the internet, and even like I said earlier, you know, I'm not going to act like I'm some, like, moral paradigm and I haven't, you know, like...
YouTube, this is so morally wrong.
Or done, like, snide things or, you know, said things that I regret. Everyone has done that, but it's so obvious here that this was basically a dedicated harassment campaign, and the well got poisoned so badly that it basically spread to, like, people that she believed were close friends. And I think I can agree with a lot of people, especially if you're on the internet, you know, someone talks shit about you online, kind of hurts, kind of sucks, you get a thick skin, but when it's from someone that you actually trust, that will hurt infinitely more than what some random 5-follower Andy says on Twitter.
That's so true. Because you feel like you trusted them. You feel, when you're close to someone, when you're close to a mate, you actually give all of your trust to them. And to have them go on an act of betrayal, like an anime betrayal sort of thing, like, it's heartbreaking. If you want to be friends with someone, be an actual friend to them, not when you want to be a friend to them, in a sense.
So we've talked about Michaela, the life that she led, the great foundation that she founded and is still being ran, even though she isn't with us anymore. But, and I did say I would talk about this at the start of the video, I'm going to talk about the supposed people who were harassing her. Now again, I do want to say the things that these people have said and the things these people have said in response to being called out is abhorrent. I'm not going to reach the point and say that these are the people that made Michaela take her own life. We will never know that, but they definitely contributed to the amount of harassment she was getting. So there is one person in particular who's being absolutely dogged on right now. I'm not going to name them for obvious reasons, because what I've seen be documented, what they've said about Michaela, is horrendous. I think we've got a situation here where it's like one person has made the decision to take their own life. If another person decides to take their own life because of the harassment they're receiving, I just don't really think that that benefits anyone, even if what this person said was just absolutely horrendous and just so evil. So we've got evidence of this person, and they were basically having a hate campaign against Michaela, like all the way back in 2023. They posted a list onto Reddit of bad things that Michaela's done, apparently, such as buying foxes from fur farmers, not actually rescuing them, which is a point that we've already covered, by the way, possibly doing drugs and using animals for financial gain. Now, since this has been pulled from an archive, not an actual live post, a lot of the sources that this person cited, they don't work or they don't actually lead anywhere. We don't actually know the sources for these claims that are being made or the evidence to back it up. Although one link did actually work for me, and it basically led to a Tumblr thread where people were just discussing fur farms. And if that's the level of evidence that's being provided here, it's not really too much of a groundbreaking discovery. So usually if you get called out for harassing someone and then the unthinkable happens, you probably do everything you can to keep a low profile, right? To stay away from the internet, maybe go through a rebrand, change your name. This is not what this person done. They actually made a post on Reddit trying to defend themselves. You people called me slurs, threatening to die.
I bully tries to defend their actions, really? That's some new level shit I would never expect. Even after their words ended someone. Oh my god.
myself as well, and somehow you're the good guys. When I first found out what happened, in the very heat of the moment, I felt no remorse. Then a pit made itself known in my stomach and began to expand. But how? With the way you people are behaving, the guilt is starting to wane. You probably won't believe me when I say this, but I was never a part of the SAF Snark subreddit. I never even knew it existed before today. If cannot be blamed for her fox's easily preventable deaths, and I cannot be.
Well, you are part of the blame though. That person is part of the blame. Because you're the one spreading hateful stuff. You went along with the hate train, innit? And I almost sound like Miranda sings just then. The hate train shit. Don't ask me. But that shit needs to be forgotten. Hatefully, you know? But never mind that. The thing that pisses me off with bullies, they always try to justify themselves with so many excuses. Especially in school, like, they'll come up with the most common excuse of all time. And say, it's just banter, innit? Chill, it's just banter, innit? Like, how is it banter if you're literally harming people emotionally? Like, legitimately. Know the word banter without using it as an excuse.
Blamed for her own death. I simply compiled information they had given me. This is not bullying. I mean,
you should read into information though. That person's dumb as fuck. Read into the information that you found before you actually spread it online. Leading into more further hate towards an innocent person. You are part of the blame. Because you went along with the misinformation and spread it and helped spread it. So you are to blame as well. That person is definitely to blame.
on post putting together various sources, and that was it. Get a fucking life. So, as you can see,
We all have a life. The person says get a fucking life, and yet you took a fucking life away from someone by spreading misinformation. It's hateful information that just wasn't even true. So contradictory there. Get a fucking life? Seriously? You say that, but you took away a life for spreading misinformation. Hypocrisy, I think? Yes.
they're definitely not backing down, and then they made another post where they basically doubled down. I'm not backing down. Fuck off. You act like I went to Michaela's house, sliced her open, and left her to bleed out. All I did was put together a few sources pointing out some things she did wrong.
But there was never ever any evidence to prove that she did anything wrong though. So you can't really defend yourself if there's no actual evidence that proves it.
No hand in bullying of any kind, even if I did.
You have no reason. Wait, you have no hand in bullying of any kind. Really? What does that say to you spreading hateful rumours? That wasn't even true. That's harassment, aka bullying. Fucking idiot. Well, it's not aka bullying, but it's somewhat down the line is bullying, in a sense.
You'll know better or calling me slurs, telling me you're going to dox me and sending me instructions on how to kill myself. Now, one thing this person did was try to wipe pretty much any social media they had as quickly as possible. Twitter, Blue Sky, their affinity, it's all gone. And most much of it now is only really accessible through web archives. Now, I think the way that this person responded to being accused was incredibly immature, just vindictive, and
It's very... Oh, yeah, I 100% agree. It is immature. Because you're not taking accountability of your actions. Which is involving in a life of death, basically. Involving in an act of death, basically. Because everyone who is involved in this like misinformation of hate, they all played a role because they were involved in spreading hate. And yet, I don't think none of them felt guilty for, which is disgusting. And I think some of it is due down to the parents. There's a thing called good parenting and bad parenting for a reason. And literally, I think it's due to how they were raised. And it's appalling, if you ask me.
almost like they're trying to make themselves a victim instead of Michaela. You know, like using that gruesome detail about, like, you know, it's like I sliced her open. Like this is someone that's taken their own life. Like, do you really think it's a good idea to be using that kind of verbiage? Now, one thing I have noticed on the internet is when you're hated enough or you don't have any kind of respect, people can just run with things with basically next to no proof apart from maybe a screenshot, and people will take that as gospel. That is exactly what is happening with this individual now, because I've seen some crazy things, like for example claims that they've been into zoophilia, with some screenshots floating around about how they wanted to, like, you know, do things with their cat, but they're fighting the, like, really crazy stuff. The only backing I can even see is like a single Discord screenshot, and that's it. An image that could very easily be edited. Again, even though this person is probably the single most hated person on the internet right now, I do think at the same time, basically anything can be said now and people will believe it, because a lot of people are angry with what happened with Michaela and they're basically looking to take that frustration out on someone. I mean, I have seen multiple times being mentioned in like their Twitter bio or Blue Sky or whatever that they're against that kind of stuff, the zoophilia. So you either basically have two outcomes here. You'd either have someone that was lying to make this person that was harassing Michaela look even worse, or you've got the biggest case of projection in human history. They're against something, but then secretly in private, they were kind of into it. But again, I think this takes away the whole point of Michaela, and that's one of the reasons why I didn't want to really talk about it at all, or at least towards the end of the video, because this isn't really what we should be focusing on. I think it should be Michaela's memory. But again, it's just a really sad example of people thinking that they've got this ability to do like internet justice, and you can even see as well, it's like, you know, she took her own life, and then some of the people involved, they've admitted themselves they just basically have next to no guilt, and that is a terrifying thing. That is very, very scary. The fact that you could push someone to making like the final choice, and even then it's like, anyways, like that's terrifying. But again, I just hope Ethan's doing alright, the family's doing alright. It's just a really sad and horrible situation. I was kind of on the fence if I wanted to talk about this or not, but I feel like everything that's came out and the kind of lack of remorse that some of the people have had, yeah, I think now it's kind of fair to talk about this.
All I have to say is, all I will have to say is that don't bully people. It doesn't get you anywhere in life. It just makes you look pathetic and sad and bitter. Three things of a human being that no one wants to associate with. Even if it's just like working in it, even if it's just like as a worker, or even like, no one would want to associate with you if this is the sort of act you get out of in life, because legitimately you're not gonna get far in life. And yeah, it is a sad time for Ethan, the widowed husband, and for his daughter. It is a sad time, and I hope that this is the end of the harassment made. Hopefully. Like, God. I know it stopped, but they can all just come back at any time, at any point. Because it's just that sad of how people behave. And for the bullies that stupidly try to defend themselves that they're not bullying because they believe they have the right information. Bullshit. If you have the right information, why did you not shut up about it? Instead of just spreading it. Like, you chose to involve yourself that you have no knowledge of because you are bored senselessly and you have nothing better to do than to ruin someone's life, even a family's life as well. I hope that every parents that have a son or daughter that was involved in this should be ashamed of them, of their kids, of their own kids that were or adult, or you know what I'm saying. Basically, parents should feel ashamed of how their son or daughter acted in this sort of situation. Because I would be ashamed as well. And I'm not even a parent yet, and I'm 24. And even I have some common sense. But anyways, if you liked the video, I'll leave a link. If I don't leave a link, you can literally see the stuff here on my screen of wherever video I found from. And yeah, honestly, just be better versions of yourselves and you won't fall down to this path of bullying people. Like, honestly, there's better ways to express yourselves apart from bullying people, to express your emotions in a sense. I don't know if I explained it as well as I thought I have, but it is what it is. I'm terrible at explaining stuff, but yeah, if you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, and comment below That's it, really. But yeah, peace out.